a room full of strong personalities? Have you been that person that's been in the room when there is just a lot of strong personalities that are there? This is a wonderful video for you to watch because we're going to talk about how you can effectively manage strong personalities when you happen to be in a room full of them. Now, you want to watch this video until the very end because I'm going to share with you a few not so often discussed strategies to help you manage strong personalities. Now, I do want to give a special shout out to Cat 23rd as it relates to this topic specifically because she mentioned this on one of the lives last week. And I appreciate you, Cat. This is a really great topic for us to dive into a bit more today. Now, if you are new to me, welcome. And if you're one of my absolutely amazing subscribers, welcome back, friend. This channel heavily focuses in on advanced communication skills and strategies that will help you to communicate more confidently and concisely in those very high stakes, high pressure situations. If you want to be the person that stands out from everybody else, that has a unfair competitive advantage as it relates to you being a leader, a business owner, a public official, or a board member, or anyone in that matter, you're welcome to subscribe to this channel where I share with you over 1,000 videos that talk specifically about how you can communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure. When you think about the word strong personalities, what comes up for you? What comes up for you? What are a couple words that you think about? Please place them in the comments below so we can talk about them and go through those specific words. Now I'll share with you just very quickly, when strong personalities come to mind, a couple of the words that I consider are educated, highly opinionated, very passionate, confident, direct communicators, executive presence, and etc. I could go on and list a lot more, but those are a couple things that come to my mind when I hear the word strong personalities. In terms of how do you navigate, how do you effectively communicate or manage these strong personalities when you are in a room, I'm going to share with you 3 strategies. Now, there's a lot of other strategies I can share with you. If you want me to go into more detail, let me know in the comments below. But I want to give you at least 3 things to work on specifically. One strategy to manage these particular situations when they come up, when you're dealing with strong personalities, is to, number 1, make sure that you listen. Number 2, make sure that you are the peacemaker. And number 3, make sure you compliment as needed. Now, I'm going to go into each one of these into a lot more detail. As I mentioned, you definitely want to watch this video until the end. How many of you have been in a situation where you have dealt with strong personalities? And perhaps you were in a setting where you just really weren't sure in terms of, well, what do I say? How do I say it? How do I manage all these strong personalities in the room? Has it happened to you before? Put in the comments below. When you have strong personalities, as I mentioned, these people tend to be highly educated, highly opinionated. And let's talk about how you can strategically work around and manage these situations. But before I go into that, I want to say hello and welcome to those of you watching the live today. Let me know, number one, what part of the big, beautiful world you are in today. And number 2, have you been in a room or in a setting where you dealt with a lot of strong personalities? If so, what did you experience? And when you hear the word strong personality, what's the first word that comes to your mind? Put in the comments below. Let's talk about it. All right, I want to say hello to Kurt Penley, 9943. Hello, Kurt. How you doing today? As I mentioned, I shared with you a couple things, a couple words that come to my mind when I hear strong personalities. Let's talk about how you can effectively manage strong personalities. The first strategy I shared with you is to make sure that you listen. When you are in the room with a lot of strong personalities, most of the time, these individuals are very highly passionate, very opinionated about what they are saying, and they tend to have a more direct way in terms of how they communicate. Now, you may be wondering, well, what do you mean by direct? When I mean direct communication, some people call it executive communication. It is a way that you are able to communicate in a very concise, confident way about a specific topic where you don't necessarily say it in a way to where it sounds like you're having a general conversation with someone. People may know it as being assertive. There's a lot of different terms that have been associated with being a person that is communicating in a more direct way. Depends on what you think, but overall, these people, they know how to communicate under pressure and they can handle themselves very, very well. Why do I mention that you have to listen to them? Because typically when you have those strong personalities, they want to be heard. They want people to hear their opinions. They want to hear how their opinions or their process or their workflow is so much better than everybody else's. Now, you may be wondering, well, why am I saying that? Because I have been in senior executive roles over the past 20 years. And yes, friends, I have seen this happen, and which is the reason why I'm sharing this with you today. They want to be heard. They want people to hear what they have to say. And you have to listen. Listen to those strong personalities because they will tell you a lot of information in terms of where they are and what they're thinking about so that you can learn how to effectively manage these strong personalities when they tend to get out of control. Because a lot of times they will get out of control, which is going to lead us into our very second strategy today. The second strategy for dealing and managing with those very strong personalities is going to be to collaborate. Now, I'm going to talk about this a bit more, but I want to know from you, when you hear the word strong personalities, what are the first thoughts, phrases that come to your mind? Put them in the comments below so we can talk about them. Collaborating is key. When you're in a room full of strong personalities, most of the time, those very passionate, those very strong personalities, they will get to the point where they start to compete with each other. There may be a conversation here, a conversation there. They may start clashing with each other. You may see fireworks. They may compete with each other, which is the reason why if you can be the person that can be the collaborator, bringing everybody together when the strong personalities start to take over the room, you automatically, you automatically are the person that stands out from everybody else because you can unify a tense conversation. This is a critical skill if you're trying to communicate in those very high stakes, high pressure situations that I talk about on this channel. If you like this information so far, you absolutely should take a look at a couple of the playlists I have on my channel that specifically focus in on high stakes communication, the fundamentals, executive presence mastery, leading and handling pushback and boundaries, and etc. Take a look at those. But if you can be the person that can collaborate and bring people together when they are at their most passionate state in terms of what they're communicating, you will be someone that can effectively manage strong personalities when they come up. Because you can bring everybody together, but you can't do that. You can't do it unless you are listening to what people are actually saying. If you hear that one person says this, another person says something else, then you can say, I hear Mary talking about this. I hear John talking about that. This is a great opportunity for us to combine Mary and John's topic or idea together to make something that is going to be very successful for the organization, the business, your constituents, or etc. I want to say hello to Jess C9I5P. Hello, Jess. How you doing today? Jess is from Brazil. Well, hello, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. Now, we've talked about two ways so far, two ways so far that you can manage or effectively manage strong conversations. The first way that you can manage a strong personality is listening to the person, hearing what exactly it is that they're talking about. Number two, collaborating. When those strong personalities start to gain a life of their own and they start competing with each other and doing all that, you have to be the person that brings them together. Now we're going to go into the third strategy, which is complimenting, but I want to go to the chat first. Okay, Jess says, thanks. How are you? Jess, I'm doing fantastically well. Hope you are doing well also. This channel heavily focuses in on advanced communication skills and strategies. If you want to be the person that stands out from everybody else in terms of how you are able to communicate as a leader, Jess, this is the best and the only channel here on YouTube that talks about high stakes, high pressure conversations in a live setting that will help you stand out from everybody else. Feel free to subscribe if you like the content. Now, the third strategy, as I mentioned, is to compliment when needed. Now, when you're trying to be that collaborator, you're trying to bring these very strong personalities together, there may be times that you need to compliment. As I mentioned, these are ways for you to manage these strong personalities. Listen to them, be able to collaborate, bring them together when you need to, because you will have to, and compliment when needed. For example, let's go back to Mary and let's say Mary and John. If Mary has a really great idea, you can always highlight and mention Mary's idea focuses in on this specific issue, this specific bottleneck, this specific metric, this specific problem, this specific situation, whatever it is, and give Mary a compliment. As I mentioned, strong personalities, they typically want to be heard. They do want to be heard unless they are the quiet, strong personalities, which is what I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But they typically want to be heard. And if you compliment them and say, this is a really great idea, and John has a really great idea, they are going to be more apt to receiving what you have to say about whatever it is that you're talking about in terms of how you're managing everybody, because you're leading with a compliment. Now, this by no means suck up. Now, if you have never watched my videos, I don't believe in suck up, and I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I simply do not believe in any of those things whatsoever. This is not a suck up, okay? I don't want you sucking up to anybody. This is being complimentary as needed. If it's something that you believe is not worth complimenting someone on, please don't do it. Just don't do it. Do not do that. If it's something worthwhile and they are doing something very impactful, then you compliment on it. That's the reason why there's a difference between being complimentary of someone and sucking up. And sucking up is something that someone is doing to basically over compliment someone or compliment someone on something that does not need to be complimented just because they're trying to get in their good graces. I don't encourage you to do that. Definitely if you're subscribed to my channel, I don't encourage my followers to do that at all, because all of you are very unique in your own special way. And you have too much going on for yourself to be in a situation where you feel like you have to cater to somebody else just because you don't agree with them. I don't want you to do that. Okay, let me go to the chat. Jess says, congratulations on the channel. Well, thank you, Jess. I appreciate it. And Jess has a couple of celebration claps. I appreciate that, Jess. Our channel is growing. We are at 912 subscribers right now. We have over 1,000 videos. We're very close to one of the very first YouTube milestones, which is 1,000 subscribers, for those of you who may know. And we're just getting started. So if you are watching this content, you like this content, I appreciate all of you who have given me a thumbs up so far. Feel free to share this with your colleagues and your friends. My mission, for those of you who are new to my channel, my mission is to build the world's largest high stakes, high pressure communication content library for leaders on planet Earth. And that is my big mission that I am wanting to accomplish. I cannot do it without your help to bring up some really great ideas in terms of different topics, different challenges that you're facing, and etc., to build this big content library that we're going to have here on YouTube. So feel free to share it to any of your colleagues, your friends, your loved ones that could benefit from being the person that has an unfair competitive advantage compared to everybody else. Let me know. Okay, Chaz, man of culture. High five, Chaz. Good to see you, friend. Hope you're doing well today. Okay, we've talked about a couple of ways to manage strong personalities. I'm going to go over them very briefly, especially because Chaz is here. So I want to make sure I go over it with Chaz. So first strategy, and there's a lot of strategies that go into this, but I just wanted to highlight 3 so far. There's a couple ways you can manage strong personalities, and then I'll go into the 4th in just a moment. The first way you can manage strong personalities is by listening to them, listen to what they have to say. Most of the time, when you are interacting with people that have strong personalities, they want to be heard. If you are listening to them intently, then you are at a place where you can actually hear what they're saying and be able to pick up and read the room and listen to their verbal and nonverbal cues, or pay attention to their nonverbal cues to see exactly what it is that they are saying and how you could potentially tie that into the conversation. Second strategy is to collaborate. As we mentioned earlier, whenever you have strong personalities in the room, yes, there will come a point in time where they will compete with each other. They will compete with each other. I have the best idea. I have the best idea. No, I have the best idea. It happens. Being that person that can bring all those ideas together and stop the actual competition between these strong personalities will make you definitely stand out as someone that can handle themselves under pressure. And then third and finally is to compliment as necessary. If it's a topic, a milestone, a goal that they have completed, meaning the person with a strong personality, and it is worthy of a compliment, it's a great addition or a great way to solve a problem, compliment them on that. Do not, and I repeat, do not suck up to people. I do not believe in sucking up to people. Don't do that. Compliment them as needed. If you feel like you need to compliment them, then compliment them. And my fourth strategy for you, this may be the one that throws everyone off, is for you to develop a strong personality. Now, I mean this in the most sincere way, because a lot of times when you're interacting with very strong personalities, depending on where you are in your leadership role, you may start to shrink a bit, which is the reason why I gave you a couple strategies to effectively manage people with strong personalities. But you can develop one as well. Strong personality does not mean someone's rude or abrasive or someone that people don't want to work with. It just means you're very opinionated, you're very passionate about what you're doing, you're very confident, you have direct communication skills, you have an executive presence, all of the wonderful things that I teach you here on this channel. So I want you to have a strong personality too. So the next time you're in a room of strong personalities, you have one also. But you're not the person that necessarily has to be heard or has to have a compliment. You're the more quiet, strong personality. That's how I am, and I hope that you all end up being that way as well. Okay, let me go to the chat. Chaz, Man of Culture, says, what exactly are we referring to as a strong personality? Great question, Chaz. One of the things that I asked at the beginning of the live is when you hear the word strong personality, because this came up last week with Cat 23rd, when you hear the word strong personality, what are some of the words or phrases that come to mind? When I hear the word strong personality, Chaz, a couple of words and phrases come to mind. Someone that communicates in a direct way. Maybe they can have executive communication skills, or they just communicate in a very direct way. These individuals are typically very confident. They are highly passionate about what they are doing and why their role specifically is the right way. They tend to be very opinionated. They have a lot of opinions about different things that are going on, and they tend to be the people that can communicate relatively well under pressure. Sometimes they may struggle, but they tend to communicate very well under pressure. Those are a couple things that I think of when I hear strong personalities. I know hopefully Kat will watch this video because she talked a bit about this also, which is why I want to bring this topic up again to dive into it a bit more. But let me know in the comments, when you hear strong personality, what are some of the things that you think about? It could be your leaders. Most of the time it will be your leaders. It'll be people that are in higher level roles that maybe are just at a place where they just have a strong personality, meaning they're very opinionated, they're very confident. They say what they need to say. They speak in a very concise way. They do not ramble. They do not over-explain. They are very careful in terms of what they say. But you see a lot of passion come out with these individuals. And as I highlighted earlier, sometimes I would say majority of the time, when you have someone that has a strong personality, they do have a desire for people to hear them, to listen to them, to compliment them. Those are a couple things that come to my mind when I think of strong personalities, but I would absolutely love to hear what you think of when you hear the word strong personalities. So we've talked about a couple strategies to effectively manage strong personalities. But if you have some strong personalities that you have interacted with in a couple parts or situations you've dealt with, then let me know in the comments below. Let's talk about them. Chaz, Man of Culture, says assertive. Absolutely. And Chaz, I actually mentioned assertive earlier in the live, so I appreciate you mentioning that. And when people think of assertive, what does assertive really mean? What does it mean? Because that word is mentioned a lot And yes, I agree with Ches 100%. Someone that has a strong personality is assertive. Now, there's times when people may be in a situation where they say someone's too assertive, or they are just saying things in a way that's not polite or etc. That doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. Assertive means that this person, and I haven't looked up the formal dictionary definition of assertive, but I'm sharing with you what my humble opinion is. When someone is assertive, that means they are able to articulate themselves under pressure, or articulate their thoughts in a very concise way. For instance, when you're in a meeting and you're dealing with a lot of people, the person that is able to very comfortably say, excuse me, this is what I believe would be best. I have seen this particular project work very well. I've seen successes with this particular workflow. They're the people that are very comfortable speaking in front of a group of people, or sharing their viewpoint, or asserting themselves into a conversation, meaning they are able to not necessarily interrupt, but they're able to interject into a conversation in a very, very, very easy way. Now, assertiveness can be really good. It can work very well, or it can be at the point where it's very abrasive and rude. And this is why sometimes the word assertive will have a negative connotation with it, because people take it into the wrong context of saying, no, not necessarily, we don't want someone to speak, we don't want them to talk about this. Now, that's a whole different conversation for a different day. Okay, let me say hello to Zande Nakumba. Hello, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. We've talked about a lot so far. We've talked about different strategies you can use to manage effective conversations. And actually, Chaz, just because we dived into this a bit more, I'm going to take a screenshot of what you said, because I believe we can dive into assertiveness a bit more, because I really have seen this, and you all can let me know what you think also. I have seen where assertiveness is a trait that is sometimes frowned upon depending on the person. It can be frowned upon with a male speaking. It can be frowned upon with a woman speaking. It is a term that sometimes gets a negative connotation. And because we talk about more high stakes, high pressured communication here on this channel, I believe it will be appropriate for us to dive into assertiveness a bit more. Okay, Chaz Man of Culture says, is this more of a natural trait? Because I feel if you are trying to implement it, you might overdo it. That's a really good question. I don't believe it's a natural trait. Well, let me not say that. I believe some people naturally are able to assert themselves. So let me rephrase. I do believe some of it is natural, but Chaz, for the most part, assertiveness can be taught. I highly believe that. I teach my clients this every single day. Everything that relates to communication can be taught. There's some people that are a bit more outgoing, and that's just how they are, but being assertive can be taught. Now, the key to it is having guidance and having someone give you some structured simulations. As I do with my clients, I do pressure tests with my clients in my high stakes communication intensive to help them understand when they should start being assertive. But Chaz, you make a very good point, friend, because this is what I hear happen. I hear it happen to a lot of my clients that I work with. They have been told that they have been too assertive. But at one point in time in their lives, in their professional lives, they were told that they didn't speak up enough. And what happens is when someone thinks that they haven't spoken up enough, they feel like, oh, I'm missing out on opportunities. That means I need to speak up every single time, all of the time. And when they do that, being untrained in terms of how to communicate their successes, some of the accomplishments they're doing, they will overdo it, as Ches mentioned. They will become way too assertive. They will talk about, wait, I need to say this. Wait, I need to say that. And what happens is those individuals, they think in their mind that almost every conversation, they have to say something, or they're just going to completely be bypassed. Or it may be multiple times in a conversation. If they don't say anything, then they're going to be completely overlooked and missed out on opportunities. This is what Ches is highlighting, that sometimes people can completely overdo it. Now, when you're developing your executive presence and you're building the skills we talk about here on the channel, we've talked about them over 1,000 times now, right? We have over 1,000 videos here. You start to learn that you don't have to be the loudest person in the room to have the most influence. Meaning that you don't have to be the person that is overly assertive or feels like you have to show people that you have something to say. How many of you have been in rooms with other people who have been too assertive? I shared this example on my channel a couple of times, and I'll highlight it here just for you all to know. I have been in rooms, and I know this one person. This is the most assertive person I've interacted with, and this is the reason why I tell this story, because I've never met anybody like this in my life. I had a person who was highly educated. She was so highly educated, and she still is. She still is an intelligent woman. What happened is that for some reason, every time we had a conversation, I mean, it could be, what's going on outside with the weather today? Well, I know that this is going on outside the weather. What's going on with the parking lot outside? Well, I know this is going on in the parking lot. Do you get where? I hope you understand where I'm going. It was every single conversation, no matter what it was. She asserted herself, but not in a positive or contributory way. It was just an assertment to say, oh, by the way, I have something to say about every single thing because I'm the Wizard of Oz and I know everything in the world, and I just am here to share my knowledge with you. It came across that way, and this is why assertiveness sometimes will get a bad connotation with it, because people feel like they just have to talk all the time because people just need to hear their voice. This is why you don't want to do that. This is exactly why you subscribe to the channel, because there are times that you need to be assertive and there's times when you don't. Believe it or not, conversations you have with people in private will sometimes gain a bit more of influence in terms of what you have on the room than some of your public conversations. It just depends. You have to be able to navigate both, but you want to be balanced in terms of when you are asserting yourself or not. Remember, I gave my very humble definition. What I'll probably will do is a video that talks specifically about assertiveness, but you are asserting yourself. That means you're interjecting into a conversation. Are you doing it in a positive contributory way, or are you doing it in a way just to show off that you're bragging and you have something to say? That's when people overdo it, because they don't know, they just don't understand that you don't have to do it as much, and that it becomes very, very, very annoying. This is one of the reasons why people struggle with over-explaining. I talk to my clients about this when they're in interviews or they're in presentations. When you over-explain and over-explain and over-explain, a lot of times you're trying to assert yourself into a conversation when you really don't need to. So hope that gives you some insight, Ches. I do believe that it is. There are some intuitive traits that people have, but assertiveness is something that people can actually be trained how to navigate and how to do. But they just have to understand there's just times when you don't need to assert yourself. And it's hard. It's hard, especially when you're in a group setting like we're talking about now. This is one of those type of scenarios where you definitely would want to work with me directly so I can help you to start learning how to master this in terms of being assertive, because it's a balance. You don't want to be the person that is completely bypassed, where no one knows you exist. You sit in the corner by yourself and you just sit there, take notes at your meetings. You don't want to be that person, but you don't want to be the person that everybody's annoyed by because you're speaking every single time. You don't want to be that person either. So how can you find that middle ground where you are very influential, but you're the person that doesn't have to speak every single meeting? That's why you work with me directly, because I will help you be able to do that. Okay, Ches, Man of Culture, says, appreciate it. Absolutely, Ches. I appreciate you asking that. And that's a really great question. Really great question. Ches, you always have some really great questions and insights, and I appreciate you so much, friend. But that was a really great question, because many people do overdo it. I see it all the time. And I want you all to be able to communicate not at an average level. Average level communication, there's a lot. I'm not going to name call people on YouTube, but there's a lot of people on YouTube you can watch for those average communication skills, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I share with some of those here on my channel also. But I want you to communicate at an exceptional level, meaning that when you communicate, when you speak, people think, wow, who is this person? Where do they come from? How do they learn how to speak like that? How can they engage an audience this way? How can they persuade all these people to do these things? How do they influence so many people? How do they know so many people? That is what my hope is for you. Regardless of where you are watching this video in the world, that is my sincere hope, is that you are the person that is exceptional, not average. This is not the channel. Well, this is a channel for people that are trying to go from average to exceptional. But if you're trying to just stay the status quo and communicate, okay, so from time to time, this is the growth channel, not the average channel. There's a lot of channels on YouTube that just focus on just the bare basics. I talk about those too, but I talk about how can you make those basics into skills that will give you a very unfair competitive advantage with everybody else in terms of how you communicate. Let me know what topics you all want to learn about on the channel. Please come to me with the hard things, the hard situations, the hard scenarios that you're dealing with right now professionally. Nothing is too hard, okay? I've dealt with a lot over the past 20 years. If it's a topic you want to leave in the comments on any of the videos, you're more than welcome to do that specifically. If it's something that's a bit more sensitive and maybe you want to share with me, not in a public setting, you're always welcome to contact me at exciteexcellence.org via my contact us page, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time. So contact me there. All of that is in the description below. But I'm really here to support you. I want to help you in a way that I can. And let me know how everyone is liking the live videos being sent to you a week in advance or the weekend before. Let me know if you're liking that format. If you do like this format where I publish what the lives are going to be for the week, the day before, let me know if you like that. If you do, I will continue to do that so you all know what to expect as it relates to the live. So if it's a topic that sounds a bit interesting to you, then you can join instead of having to just see what the topic is when it comes up. I'm here to help you in a way that I can. Please let me know how I can support you. And I appreciate you all so much for your support of the channel. I'm looking forward to being able to do a lot more things to help you all communicate at the highest level as leaders in the world that we desperately need today. So I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.